New camera operator. Training. Quick training.
We need to have a training thing.
There we go.
Okay, are we good? We're good. Okay, all right, great. Well, good evening and welcome. It's 5:30. I'll call to order this special council meeting, September the 18th, to discuss several items on the agenda this evening. The first item is to consider approval of ordinance 2012-21 adopting the tax rate for 2012. And this item on the agenda follows two public meetings that we've had, one on September the 4th and the second on September 11th, to hear public comment on the tax rate. And those public hearings were conducted in accordance with state law, and so today we're here to consider approval of that ordinance following those two public hearings.
Mayor, can I move that we adopt ordinance 2012, what's 21?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Mr. Sveen, seconded by Mr. Cood, to adopt ordinance 2012-21, adopting the tax rate for 2012. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion carries, and the approval of the tax rate for the city of Stephenville for year 2012, and that's ordinance 2012-21, and the tax rate will be 0.485, which is the same tax rate from last year. Okay, the second item on the agenda is to consider approval of ordinance 2012-22, which is budget amendments to the current year's budget, budget year 2011, and I'll ask Mr. Kaiser to give us a brief synopsis of that. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. This is actually our second opportunity, second budget amendment that we make each year. Let me just say, from a procedural perspective, I look at this as an opportunity really just to make y'all aware, one, to kind of ask the departments to make us aware of any areas that they had some financial challenges this year, and I'll just use whether gas was higher or lower, utilities higher or lower. All of them are spelled out in the next couple of pages here, as far as just what specifically within their budgets, each department, if there are anything, I just really try to ask them, what's the highlight that would cause you some concern within your departments, and let's make the council aware and just make sure that everybody's aware of kind of how we're going to end. This is not to be indicative of how the year will really end. We're just trying to make you aware of some of the things that have occurred really since the last 6 months, over the last 6 months prior to the year end. It also just, I'll tell you, serves a purpose in the audit report. The audit report, when it's presented, the auditors look at, and it puts the original budget, it says the amended budget, which will be with these numbers here, and then any differences between the actual and that budgeted amount, they're required to put a little note in there, okay? So from my perspective, that basically means, are we telling you what's going on, or are we not telling you everything? And if we're not telling you, then they're going to put it in an audit report. So we're trying to just preempt some of those comments as well. All of which is described in here. I would, again, I'm not going to really go through each one of them item by item. The expense side is the side that I'm really referring to, and then what we did is basically just offset it with some revenue. And let me use an example of, we know that we've had increased participation in some of our youth recreation programs, so we just offset it. We've got offsetting revenue for that. We just offset it, tried to offset it dollar for dollar, just to kind of just go ahead and keep it balanced here and explain that there is revenue sources to pay for the expenditures in the document. The total amount that we are recommending to be amended here is for $328,850. that goes along with the mid-year budget amendments that were made. And the mayor had asked these, so I'm just going to go ahead and just spell out the ones. We did at mid-year, we amended in the general fund $597,490. In the water fund, we amended it $383,600. If you'll recall, that I believe that one in particular was the sewer, the vac-on truck, primarily. The landfill, we amended it $105,000, which was actually for the scales. And then the airport, is part of our grant matching fund. We amended it for $115,000. And again, I know that some of the funds are general fund. So the two together will be what the ultimate year end as far as the amendments will be. And again, with that, let me just say, I did not go into any of the specifics, but I'll be glad to, or the directors will be glad to answer any questions if you have something on a specific item that you kind of would, and hopefully we've either discussed it or it's just some maintenance or routine costs that have just kind of maybe been a little higher this year. So I'll be glad to answer any other questions about any of that.
Any questions for Mr. Kaiser? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion for the ordinance.
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance 2012-22, providing for the year-end adjustments or amendments to the budget.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Nix, seconded by Ms. Taylor to adopt ordinance 2012-22, providing a budget amendment to the budget for FY11 in the amount of $328,850. All those in favor, or any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries, and ordinance 20-12-22 is adopted as proposed. I would like to make one comment about this before we move on, because I think it's important as we consider the coming fiscal year. You know, Mark just said that there was a total amendment through the year of $926,000. You know, I know we in the council understand this because you work through the budget through the year, but this was not a budget surplus by any means that now is trying to find a way to be spent. This is an alignment of revenues to expenses to reconcile a very lean budget. And the city staff has gone to, in my estimation, extraordinary efforts to ensure that expenditures did not outpace revenues on one sense, but then also I just didn't want there to be a perception by the citizens of the city that oh, we've had an excess of funds and we're now trying to find a way to spend it. That's not the case at all. There is a very orderly and organized manner in which these expenses have been brought forward, and the budget itself is very lean, I guess is a good word to say, of those expenditures that the city has looked to provide. And so this amendment will, like Mark said, will just allow us to execute those dollars through the end of the fiscal year. Okay, let's move on then to the final agenda item, which I guess is really an announcement on my part, the recommendation of the city staff and pursuant to the City of Stephenville Code of Ordinance, Chapter 51, Section 16, as mayor, I'm terminating the moderate water shortage drought response stage 2. And I'd like to remind citizens that pursuant to the city's water conservation plan, that residents are prohibited from operating an automated in-ground irrigation system on any day of the week between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. And landscape watering is permitted anytime with a handheld hose, soaker hose, bucket, watering can, or drip irrigation system. So these drought response stages that we go through in the city are vitally important to us being able to provide adequate water supply to every citizen, and just want to say an appreciation to everyone that sought to comply with that this year. Okay, that's the three main agenda items for this evening's special meeting. I'll just see if there's any comments from any council members before we adjourn. Here? Okay, hearing none, we'll adjourn this meeting effective 5:41.
Thank you.
We had a 7-minute meeting one time.
Like I said, your house.